There's a version of building in life and in business that literally no one prepares you for. I'm not talking about the bootstrap it season or the cash flow season. I'm talking about the seasons where there is literally no money, no runway, and no master plan whatsoever. Every conventional door is not just closed, it is welded shut. These are the seasons where it's build or lose it all. I've been here twice in my life. One, 7 years ago. That is the world that Live Fearless Media was born in. And one relatively recently. So that's why I'm doing this. If you're watching this, you know there is more for you than just this season. More purpose, more potential, more impact. But the thing you're questioning is, how do I make it into something that actually works? This video is for you. This is for a woman on a mission with a message who's tired of circling over and over with no real traction. You're not afraid of hard work, but you are done with wasting time. You don't need hype, you need clarity. If you're searching for how to turn what you care about into actual cash, revenue, something to support you, how to build content that doesn't just get likes, but actually builds a business, how to create systems that are going to support the life you're dreaming of instead of running you into the ground, and how to stop second guessing what's in your heart and build it with confidence. You may not be where you want to be yet. Lord knows I'm not. But you're awake, you're aware, and you know you don't want to stay where you are. This is a channel built for women becoming the builders, whether that is in life, love, family, or business. Women who are learning to run smart, sustainable businesses and lives without big teams, big budgets, or pretending that they have it all figured out. Because Lord knows we don't. We're going to talk about the real work, the business, the branding, the content, the systems, the pressure, the pivots, the things that happen every day and sometimes just once in a while. It's all about growing without losing your soul, your passion, your heart, your drive, hitting that burnout phase that we all went through at one point, but have tried to avoid ever since. Yeah, that one. If you are looking to build something bold, beautiful, sustainable, even before you're ready, according to the world, you're exactly where you need to be. Click that follow button because there's going to be new content every day. Okay, so you've probably heard this saying a million times, and I know I've heard it from every coach, every advisor: build in quiet, celebrate in public. Well, this entire series is going to be an exercise in avoiding that very statement. Now, you can build in quiet all you want, but I'm going to share it with all of you because the reality is nobody learns in silence and no one grows from the highlight reel of success. You're going to get to see the ups, downs, the sideways, the wins, the losses, and everything in between. Because the reality is, you can't believe it's possible if you've never seen it done before. So I'm going to share it all in real time. After all, I'm a big believer in there is power in testimony. And this series is going to be testimony come to life. Let me start by saying this is not just my story. It's all fallen apart. Again, I heard it over and over throughout 2025. It was the hardest year ever. I hit every bridge and tunnel known to mankind, every roadblock, every train wreck. This is happening to a lot of people and a lot of businesses right now. There are a lot of people realizing very quietly that their model that they built to carry them for the last several years is no longer able to carry them into the future. Here's the thing. When it all falls apart, it's very easy to get afraid because not only are we going to have to let go of the comfortable, the thing that worked in the past, we're going to have to leave the known path and create something new. And that potentially could cost us everything. But if you don't leave the known path for the unknown, you'll lose it all anyways. This place of build or lose it is what built Live Fearless Media. When I started Live Fearless Media, I didn't have a brand. Heck, I didn't even know I had a business. I was just trying to get work. I had a laptop. I had some hard-won skills. I had a handful of contacts that we would pay attention, and a very real awareness that if this didn't work, there was no backup plan. There was no plan B. In fact, Live Fearless Media was the plan B. So I said yes to opportunities I wasn't ready for, that I didn't have knowledge for. I continuously educated myself. I sought out people who were either in my world and knew more than me, or people that were right where I was that I could find commonalities with and learn from and run the race with. Most importantly, I chose to run fast and learn fast on the job. When you're in that place where it's build or lose, you no longer become afraid of losing. You have no choice. You're either going to lose because you didn't build or you're going to lose if you do build and it goes wrong. You might as well try. Live Fearless Media grew. I had stable income. Things were growing. It was great until 2025. When 2025 happened, the world fell apart again. Pressure, health, faith, business, life, family, it all seemed to hit the fan all at once. One by one by one, the systems that I had built in my life and my business stopped working, not because I'd failed. No. The systems were still working, but because the season had changed and I hadn't reset the system for the new season. I hadn't built something that could withstand the shift. I hadn't even built something that really could withstand the growth that I had done. And I became stagnant. Suddenly, I was back in it. No excuses, no cushion, no ego or pretending that it was still working. Just the truth. And I want to be really, really honest with you about something, because this is the part that matters the most. This rebuild, this opportunity, this conversation, it didn't come out of nowhere. It came because I got comfortable. I got so used to the ease, the fact that things were working, that I wasn't changing or growing. I stopped doing the very thing that made me successful in the first place, which was to dream crazy dreams and build things that most people thought wouldn't work. That's what I was good at, and I stopped doing it because I thought I had built enough to sustain myself even when maybe things would get rough. I was coasting. I was on easy street. And unfortunately, easy street started to eat away at everything that I had built. Because there is a truth that almost everyone repeats, but nobody truly understands until they're in it. If you are not growing, you are dying. And let me tell you, the road to nowhere, stagnation, being stuck, it doesn't feel dangerous at first. It feels calm. It feels stable. It feels like what you know. And you tell yourself, this is what I've earned. The chance to rest, to not have to build. But that same road to nowhere, that same getting stuck in the old, that same stagnation, eventually leads to quiet erosion. Because loss is inevitable when it comes to life and business. Clients leave, contracts change, markets shift, and economies turn. And those situations are not failure. They are things you cannot control, and they are a part of doing business. In fact, they are just a part of doing life. But if you're stagnant, if you're stuck, if you're on the road to nowhere, you haven't been growing enough. And when the shift comes, you will be unprepared. I'm not saying this out of some sense of calling you out. without calling myself that. I've done this. I've been there. I've been there twice. And let me tell you, I share it with you as I'm going through it, as I'm rebuilding from my very own stay stuck moment, so you can get a jump on this faster than I did. Because trust me, you don't want to build from a stay stuck moment, whether that's in your life, in your family, or in your business. Trust me when I say hard seasons do not ruin businesses. There is always an opportunity for the future. It is avoiding the hard things, avoiding growth, avoiding building. Because the reality is the hard things are inevitable. If you refuse to stretch, if you refuse to grow, eventually you will start to shrink. And I say this because that is exactly what happened to me. I got comfortable. I stopped challenging myself. I stopped stretching. I stopped building like somebody who was hungry. And slowly, the people who stood beside me, who I thought I could count on no matter what, started walking away. Contracts changed. Revenue shifted. Prices went up. The market shifted and needs changed. None of this was a betrayal. None of this was drama. None of this was the business failing. In fact, it was me. It was my fault because I had built nothing new to replace what was leaving. And suddenly I was back in the same pit I was in 7 years ago when I started Live Fearless Media with no money, no ideas, a very short list of contacts willing to give me the time of day. It's in that moment I decided I had to dig myself out again. I'd done it once. I could do it again. I know how to build. There is no doubt about that. And anybody willing to build will get themselves moving again. I didn't have momentum. I didn't have money. All I had were my skills and my willingness to build again. To start from the seed phase, no applause, no certainty, no guarantee, just obedience to growth. And in fact, so obedient to growth, I'm willing to do this with you. There are those who think I am insane for doing this. As I said, build in private, celebrate in public, right? Play the highlight reel at the end or record it all. And if you get the win, then share it all. Because to say that you failed is to risk everything you built prior, right? Or is it? To admit you are human, that you got comfortable, that you relaxed, and that actually ate away from you, I think is actually a pretty bold statement. Not one that everybody has to make, by the way. But if sharing my journey to rebuilding again can show somebody that they can rise and fall and rise again, then this will all have been worth it. There are those who say I'm risking my clients, my business, and my opportunities by admitting that I failed. Yes, I failed in one way, but I will succeed in another. I know how to build, and I will build again. And I have no doubt I will build bigger and better than before. Because I have to be fearless in these moments in a way I haven't been in years. I have to challenge myself and take risks again in ways that I haven't had to do in 7 years. I have to look at opportunities with the same hunger I had when I started Live Fearless Media, when it was just an idea and a prayer and a hope and a wish. But in order to make that real, I had to ask myself the hard questions. Then we get too comfortable. Was I avoiding discomfort? And was I putting ease ahead of pursuing the growth that was possible? For me, the answer is yes. For you, you will have to see. And here's what I've learned, even in the short time I've been doing this. Growth responds to courage. The willingness to put yourself out there and put it all on the line again. And the willingness to be uncomfortable, to do the things that don't feel natural. You know, it's funny. I'd have an entire business about helping people get on camera, be on social media, share their businesses, share their stories. using storytelling to help build businesses, creating mission, vision, and values and purpose behind business and sharing that with the world. I've spent 7 years helping people do that. And yet, if you check out Live Fearless Media or Live Fearless CEO, you'll see none of that. And the question may be running through your head, if this is what you do, why didn't you do it for yourself? Because I was afraid. I was uncomfortable. I know how impactful these platforms are, better than most. I know how impactful a mission is. I know how impactful telling a story and bringing people along for the adventure is. And yet, I never did it for myself. I never did it for my business. Why? Because I had systems that worked that didn't require them. But then I stopped growing and I had to go backwards. This is what I know. This is what I love. And this, all of this, is where the opportunity starts to appear. Not all at once, admittedly, and not perfectly. But doing this, sharing with you, that is enough to remind me that this is how it all worked. So let me ask you something. If everything you're relying on right now, your comfort zones, all disappeared in a moment, if you sat in my seat looking at everything that made you comfortable, actually taking things away from you, what would still work? What could you hold on to? What could you build with? Is it your skills, the relationships, your ability to adapt and change? Or have you been surviving on momentum instead of mastery? Because that will tell you a lot. I'm not hiding my process. I'm going to take you along on the adventure, rebuilding in the open with clarity, with courage, with faith. I'm going to share with you the wins, the losses, the decisions that work, the decisions that don't work, and what it actually looks like to rebuild when it feels like there are no doors, no new avenues, just stuck. This isn't going to be theory. This is going to be work in real time. If you want to see if I fly or I flop, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Or if you want to build along with us, there'll be a lot of tips and tricks and everything else in between along the way. Remember, when the rest of the world fades away, this will be what it looks like to just build. Welcome to the Live Fearless era. This will not be a highlight reel. It'll be a testimony.